We now come to the debate on privilege, and before we begin, I wish to remind members of the decision in question and the procedure on this motion. The decision before the House is whether or not to refer the matter to the Committee of Privileges. It will be for the committee to report back on whether it considers there has been a contempt. While it is in order for honourable members to refer to the issues cited in the motion, it is not in order to make general criticisms of the conduct of the Honourable Member for Ochil and South Perthshire or any other member. Good temper and moderation must be maintained in parliamentary language. Previous debates on such motions have usually been relatively short. I hope this debate will be focused and brief. Any members who wish to speak need to stand to ensure that they catch my eye at the beginning of the debate. The Right Honourable Member for Halton Price and Howden has tabled a motion for debate on the matter of privilege, which the Speaker has agreed should take precedence today. I call David Davis to move the motion.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I have been advised by the clerks prior to the motion, that this is a very narrow motion, and so I will stick strictly and exclusively to the matter at hand. But before I come to the substantive motion, I want to say something to those members of the public who may think this is an arcane or even abstruse issue. Ever since Speaker Lentil told King Charles I, "I have neither eyes to see nor tongue to speak, save as this House directs me," the Speaker has been the spokesman, champion and protector of members and institutions of this place, as well, of course, as being its impartial arbiter of our proceedings. And if members think this is just a piece of ancient history, they ought to consider more recent times, when Mr. Speaker's more recent predecessors have been criticised on issues of impartiality in recent years, or for failing to protect members. I mean, for example, Mr. Speaker Martin's failure to protect Damien Green was highly controversial at the time, and very important. As for upholding the rights of backbenchers and opposition members, we need only to look at the Speaker's fierce criticism of the government yesterday, in yesterday's statement, where he was upholding our rights. That's why it's vital for members to protect the integrity, impartiality and apolitical nature of the Speaker's office. And this fact is clearly recognised in Erskine May, hardly a polemical document. Paragraph 1514 says, "Reflections on the character of the Speaker or accusations of partiality in the discharge of their duties is a punishable offence." Erskine May also recognises that a member's behaviour and conduct outside this House counts towards that. Now to the substantive motion. Following an appearance from the Right Honourable Member for Mid Bedfordshire before the DCMS Select Committee while she was Secretary of State, the committee opened an investigation into several claims she made. But ultimately the committee decided against any action. The committee as a whole published a special report. Say again? Right. The committee as a whole published a special report which said we may have sought a referral to the Privilege Committee, but as her claims have not inhibited the work of the committee, and she no longer has a position of power of the future of Channel 4, we are instead publishing this report to enable the House and its members to draw their own conclusion. It's crucial in this matter to remember that the Honourable Member for Ochil and South Perthshire sits on that committee. He did not ask for a division before that report was published. He did not vote against it. He did not publish a dissenting opinion on that report. Instead, he wrote to the Speaker and asked the Speaker to give precedence for matters reported on by the committee, even though the committee itself was not seeking such precedence. But as would be expected, the Speaker did the usual thing, in his own words, respected the committee's assessment of the situation. After the Speaker replied to him privately, as is the convention with privilege issues, he took to Twitter. He brandished a copy of Mr. Speaker's letter in his video. He broke all the conventions on the privacy of Speaker's correspondence on privilege and disclosed a partial and partisan account of Mr. Speaker's letter. He said on Twitter he's considered my letter, but he's decided to take no further action. In doing so, he implied that it was Mr. Speaker's unfettered decision not to refer the matter to the Privileges Committee. Nowhere in his film statement did he tell his followers that Mr. Speaker was following normal precedent or normal procedure by accepting the will of the DCMS committee. I imagine that's why Mr. Speaker described his action last week as giving a partial and biased account of his correspondence.
Quite right.
And nowhere in his statement did he tell his followers that it was he himself who sat on that committee and signed off the conclusions. All of us in this House have a duty to uphold its rules and institutions. But by knowingly breaching the confidentiality of the Speaker's correspondence, he's done the opposite of that. This is a clear breach of our rules. Now, the proper response after Mr. Speaker's censure of him for his behaviour last week was for him to accept the seriousness of his actions, apologise properly to the House, and delete the offending tweets. If he had done this, I imagine that would have been the end of the matter. Indeed, I would not have made my point of order on the day. Instead, he failed to apologise. But instead, he compounded his misdemeanour, taking to Twitter once again. He claimed he offered no apologies as no misrepresentation. He claimed that he claimed that he didn't release the Speaker's letter, but summarised it entirely fairly. This is untrue. And as a result, he misled the country by deliberately withholding how this decision had been arrived at and his party.
Disgraceful.
And he retweeted an account that was directly critical of the Speaker. He retweeted an account which said the Speaker's statement was merely ermine pursuing theatrics, and the Speaker was placing his integrity above that of Parliament. Quite wrong. This compounds again his misdemeanour by deliberately attempting to undermine the impartiality and integrity of the Speaker's office. It's the role of the Speaker of this House to protect members and stand up for his backbenchers. It's the members' duty on our part to uphold the dignity of the Speaker's office. I do not believe any of this conduct to be appropriate for a member of the House, but that's actually not for me to judge as a single ordinary member, which is why it's not a motion to condemn. This is a motion to pass this matter to the Privileges Committee of this House of Commons. I beg to move.
John Nicolson.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker. At the heart of this issue, I believe, is accountability. What should happen to members who break the rules, and how open should our procedures be? What should the public be allowed to know? I'd like to say at the outset that I'm very sorry that the Speaker feels that by revealing his decision not to have a debate in the Commons about our committee report has put him in a bad light with the public. This was never my intention. My intention, allow me to develop my speech and you'll hear my points. My intention was merely to let the public know what had been decided. Now, I'm accused of breaking a rule myself, and I'd like to tell the House, if I may, the circumstances. I'm a member of the Digital, Culture, Media and Sport Committee. We held a hearing with the then Culture Secretary, the member for Mid-Bedfordshire, at which she claimed that a Channel 4 reality series she appeared in some years ago used actors pretending they were members of the public. She claimed that they'd confessed this to her. Now, a member of the production team who lived on the estate concerned...
Order. I'm sorry the honourable gentleman missed my opening remarks, but it was quite clear that this does not have to be... This is not about the actions of any other member. It's not about what happened in the committee with any other right honourable member there. It's about the motion before us. John Nicolson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. If I can say that there was considerable press interest in our committee's work, and I decided that we should send a copy of the committee report to the Speaker. I thought that the time might be set aside for a debate about referring it to privileges. Now, the Speaker wrote back to me saying that he did not believe the case met the threshold for a debate. I recorded a video summarising the Speaker's decision and I tweeted it. I offered no comment about the Speaker, nor did I criticise him. There was considerable public interest in it, and I soon discovered that the Speaker was angry. He believed that I should not have reported his decision, and last Wednesday he told me in the House that he thought I'd not summarised him accurately and that I shouldn't have reported him at all. Now, it was not my intention in any way to summarise him inaccurately. Before I was elected here, I was a journalist, a reporter for Newsnight, amongst other current affairs shows. Now, I believe in open democracy, but I also believe in maintaining agreed confidentiality. It did not cross my mind that revealing the Speaker's decision on this was a matter of privilege. After all, what was I to say if journalists asked me if I'd written to the Speaker? Was I to say yes? Has the Speaker responded? Has the Speaker given a ruling? Was I then to say, I'm afraid I can't tell you? I didn't consider that I'd broken any confidence or betrayed any trust. I didn't imagine that the Speaker's decision on this, a matter of importance to my constituents, could not be revealed. Moreover, I believe that I summarised the Speaker fairly, but I'm in the unfortunate position of finding myself unable to prove that, since to do so, I'd have to release the Speaker's letter to me in its entirety, something we've established the Speaker does not believe that I should do. Now, there's a suggestion that I printed only half the letter. Can I say this is not the case? The Speaker's letter to me came as a letter through the post. There was no need for me to print it, nor did I publish it, nor did I show its contents to the camera, nor did I leak it to others. I was very open in the way that I talked about it, which I hope shows that I didn't think I was behaving improperly. Now, there's also been some suggestion that the Select Committee did not wish to see this matter proceed to a privileges debate. This is not the case. The committee decided not to refer the member concerned as she was no longer a Cabinet Minister, but the committee left open the option of others doing so. Indeed, some committee members expected this would happen. I agreed with the findings of the committee. They were unanimous and cross-party. Now, the Right Honourable Member for Halton Price and Howden, who wrote to the Speaker asking for this debate, has just spoken again. I've never met the Right Honourable Member or spoken to him here, although I may have interviewed him in the past. He is not a member of the committee and has previously championed free speech. He spoke...
Order. We're really not here to discuss the matters surrounding the committee itself. He needs to stick to what is in the motion. John Nicolson.
Can I just say, Madam Deputy Speaker, that I spoke to the chair of the committee and the clerk of the committee today. I gave them exactly the words that I was going to use just now and got their permission to use the words that I have just repeated.
I'm not entirely sure. It is up to me to make the final decision. They don't give the honourable gentleman permission. I do. John Nicolson.
The Right Honourable Gentleman spoke last Wednesday following the Speaker's remarks from the Chair. Now, he laid into me with some vigour, using what appeared to be a pre-prepared speech. He was especially exercised by what he saw as my breach of parliamentary etiquette. It's worth me pointing out in that context that he didn't contact me to inform me that he planned to speak about me, which, as we all know, is the convention. I wasn't afforded the opportunity to reply last Wednesday, but before moving on to other business, the Speaker concluded, I think we'll leave it here for today, and I assumed that the matter had been laid to rest. However, the Right Honourable Member then took to Twitter to pursue his criticism of me, complete with a video of his speech. Yes.
Order. It's not for the honourable gentleman to be criticising the Right Honourable Gentleman who have moved the motion. He can speak to the motion, not outside it. So can we just stick to what is the matter in hand. John Nicolson.
I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman who, on a personal level, I like. Can I just give him some friendly advice?
Stop digging.
Put the spade down.
Madam Deputy Speaker, people are watching this, which I'm pleased that they are. I think people will draw conclusions, having heard both sides of the argument. Yes.
Can I just say to my honourable friend, I've been in this House for 21 years. I've been a member, as you know, Madam Deputy Speaker, of the House of Commons Commission for something like 4 years. I had absolutely no idea that you could not reveal whether you had correspondence with the Speaker or not, or summarise what that was. How on earth was my honourable gentleman supposed to know that? With me, with 21 years service on the Commission, didn't know that. And can I just say, Madam Deputy Speaker, all of this just seems, and I'll ask this my honourable friend, at best, just some sort of, you know, like, I don't know, like just some sort of mean for retribution, and at worst, institutional bullying, because that is what it's starting to feel like right now.
Order. Interventions can be made. They should be brief. But I would also remind honourable and right honourable members that if the House does decide that this goes to the Committee of Privileges, the sort of arguments can be made there. This is on a simple matter of the motion. Other arguments could be made to the committee if the House decides that it wants it to go to the committee. John Nicolson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I know that the Speaker has been on the receiving end of often unpleasant comments from the public since I revealed his decision. That was never my intention. I didn't use his name, I didn't link to him, I didn't post contacts for him. I'm very sorry that a pile-on has ensued. I have friends across the House. I believe in vigorous but fair debate. I have no time for abusive behaviour. I don't engage in it, and I deplore it. I am advised that I have breached a parliamentary rule by referring to the Speaker's letter. As I've explained, I did not knowingly do so. I would never reveal a confidence. I did not then believe that the Speaker's decision on a parliamentary matter was a secret. Indeed, is this not, and it's perhaps not a matter for today, but should there not be a distinction between correspondence containing confidences and correspondence on policy decisions? Let me finish this point and I'll come to you. Has every member who has revealed a Speaker's decision by letter hitherto found themselves the subject of a parliamentary privilege debate, as I am today? Although this convention appears to exist, is it not the very antithesis of open democracy? I find that many members on both sides of the House have told me privately they did not know this rule existed.
I didn't know it.
And I should perhaps declare an interest as another member who appeared in the very same reality show which his committee discussed. He's not apologised to the Speaker. Does he not think that having betrayed what was marked as private correspondence, which clearly and quite rightly aggrieved the Speaker, that if he had given an apology at the time when it was raised by the Chair last week, he would not be in this position now? Why didn't he do that? Would he like to try and at least bring back some decorum by apologising profusely to the Speaker and the House for the offence that he's caused now?
The honourable gentleman says that the letter was marked private. I don't know how he knows what was on the letter. I have shown the letter to absolutely nobody. But since you challenged me, the letter was not marked private. If the letter had been marked private, I wouldn't have talked about it. It's a very core belief of people in my former profession that you hold confidences, that you will go to prison rather than reveal your sources. The letter was not marked private. It was about a matter of policy, about whether or not a debate could be held, and I did not think that it was confidential.
Will you just wait?
Yes, indeed.
I thank him for giving way. He has said that he was aware that the Speaker had become very angry. And since the Speaker is serving all of us, and it is about decorum, is it not time that he apologises to the Speaker, and maybe that resolves a lot of things?
I want to answer that question honestly. I'm slightly torn, because on the one hand, I am deeply sorry that the Speaker is upset. I don't conduct politics in a way, for those who know me, that ever aims to be offensive. And I'm truly sorry that the Speaker is upset. And I'm truly sorry that I've upset the Speaker. But it would be disingenuous of me to say that I knowingly revealed this. I could not have been more open by going on camera and discussing this. I clearly wasn't trying to hide it. People in my profession, my former profession, and this profession, who want to pass things into the public domain in a sleek-it or surreptitious way, they give it to journalists. I didn't do that. I stood up and I talked about the letter without revealing in detail its contents, but summarising it. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, this place often seems hard to understand for the general public, and its procedures can appear opaque. I suspect most people will find it curious that the member who misled the Select Committee was subject to no consequences, but the member who revealed that...
Order. Order. He absolutely needs to withdraw that remark.
I withdraw that remark. However, I'm subject to the current debate, which I notice over the years, these debates have been confined to people who've committed sometimes, or accused of committing, some of the most egregious offences. I've yet to meet a member who thinks this falls into that category. But I do want to conclude by saying, again, that it was never my intention to insult the Speaker. I don't know him well, but we've only ever had friendly exchanges when meeting. I bear him absolutely no ill will. I deplore any and all online abuse that he has suffered. Now, nobody, I imagine, excuse me, I'm slightly hoarse. Nobody, I imagine, is enjoying this debate, least of all me. I find interpersonal conflict stressful and unpleasant. I hope the House concludes that there was no malicious intent in anything that I did, and I apologise to the Speaker for breaching a House rule. But given the all-party nature of the committee report, I sought no party political advantage, and I hope that members here today will seek no party political advantage. My only motivation was to do what I always try to do, and that is to engage with debate and to communicate my work here with constituents and with journalists as openly and fairly as I can. Thank you.
The question is on the order paper. Father of the House, Sir Peter Bottomley.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I received a letter today from someone who met me at a conference saying, was I right in saying to her then that although I wasn't directly involved in their cause, it was a cause that was worth fighting for. I thought that was a tribute. It was the LGB Alliance conference across the road from here. And when the honourable gentleman talked about pylons, he constantly used the word in his Twitter accounts. That may or may not be relevant to the Privileges Committee if this is referred to them.
I do have to say to the Father of the House, this is not about criticising other people's behaviour. It's strictly about the motion before us today. Father of the House.
That's because in the volume of Hansard, the 23rd of November, at 12:33, when the Speaker raised the issue, he said he was awaiting an apology. The response from the honourable member was regretting the pylon on the Speaker, and we've heard today that he doesn't intend to be offensive to anybody. I think that the proper description, as is shown on the record in Hansard last week, in the exchange with the Speaker, is not only that the Speaker is awaiting an apology, which we haven't yet heard, but we also have heard this afternoon an explanation that he was asking for a debate on the Select Committee report. The way to ask for a debate on the Select Committee report is to ask the Leader of the House. It's to ask in normal parliamentary procedure. He was actually asking for a privileges reference. That wasn't accepted. Even if people have been here for 21 years, they know that the rules changed some years ago, and requests for a privileges reference are taken up in private with the Speaker, and the Speaker then gives a view. If an honourable member gets a reply from the Speaker saying no, and if that member decides to make public the fact they'd asked, there's a responsibility to be fully open about the whole response, not a part of it, as the Speaker said last week after 12:33 in the Chamber. I believe it's the responsibility of the House to back the Speaker, right or wrong, and especially when they're right. And I think on this issue, my right honourable friend is right, and I ask the House to support the reference to the Privileges Committee, and after that, when they've reported, we can decide whether to have a fuller debate and whether the honourable member by then has done as the House would expect and the Speaker asked for a full apology.
SNP spokesperson Deirdre Brock.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And briefly, it's extremely unfortunate that matters have come to this, but I do understand the conventions of the House that have brought us here. I would also say that we on these benches respect the need for a transparent and open process around this. The Leader of the House has spoken in the past, though, of the importance of parliamentary modernisation and pointed out the way the House operates unlike any other normal administrative centre in the public or private sector. I have to say, I agree with her. The procedures of the Houses of Parliament do need updating, and this situation perhaps provides us with an example of where some reform could take place. I am confident, having spoken with my honourable friend, that he was completely unaware of the conventions of the House that were at the heart of this issue. He sought clarity on a matter of issue of proper procedure and was then caught out himself. My honourable friend has already spoken at length with his customary eloquence on this issue, outlining his position and that there was no malicious intent. But as I said, I will be brief. In closing, I'll repeat again, the SNP of course, respects the need for transparency and openness.
Shadow Leader of the House, Fangam Debonair.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, the upholding of conventions is essential to the smooth running of this House and to the foundation of political order in this country. Erskine May is clear. There is a searchable function, which I checked this morning, about procedures for raising a complaint of breach of privilege. And therefore, if a member is raising a complaint about a breach of privilege, the rules are there to find. Members need the permission, Erskine May says, of the Speaker and must request this in writing. And there is a long-standing convention that when members write to Mr Speaker, they do so on the basis that their correspondence in both directions will remain confidential, and this is especially the case on matters of privilege. Paragraph 15.32, footnote 6 of Erskine May is explicit. It is not, and I quote, "It is not the practice for such letters to be made public," and, I quote again, "members should not challenge the Speaker's decision in the House." And as members of this House, we all hold parliamentary privilege, but that comes with responsibility. And we have a duty not to misuse it and to respect the Chair when the Chair rules. Our conduct must live up to the high expectations the public rightly should have a right to expect of us. I therefore believe that the honourable member for Ochil and South Perthshire's conduct does therefore warrant an investigation by the Committee of Privileges as requested by the Right Honourable Gentleman for Holton, Price and Howden. So I will be supporting this motion today, and I urge others to do so.
Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I thank also my right honourable friend for Holton, Price and Howden for bringing this motion forward. Regret deeply that he has had to, but understand why he has had to. I have heard what the honourable gentleman has said today, and I'm glad to see he is in the chamber. I don't think that his arguments that he was not aware of what the right course of action should have been, or what the appropriate response to journalist inquiries should have been, which was to state that any such correspondence would have been confidential, is a reason for not bringing this motion forward. I sincerely had hoped that the honourable gentleman would have made an apology. I think there is a consensus across the House about what the right course of action is now, but I think that if the honourable gentleman had taken that opportunity, this matter could potentially have been brought to an end here today. The procedure for raising breaches of privilege is a long-standing and important convention that ensures the privileges and rights of this House are protected. I shall give way to the honourable gentleman.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I think there's a misunderstanding there. I did quite clearly say that I was apologising to the Speaker. I was unaware of this convention. I wished to cause him no hurt and apologised. I'm repeating that now.
I'm afraid I think that the way the honourable gentleman has phrased this, and I think not appreciating the wrong that I'm going to continue, not appreciating the damage that has been done in these circumstances. The Speaker's role in this is integral, including avoiding. No, I won't give way. I'm going to have my say. I will. Thank you. The Speaker's role in this is integral. That integrity is absolutely vital, including in him being able to avoid frivolous complaints. And it is important that that role is respected. No, including the need for correspondence on such matters to remain confidential. We all suffer in this place if that is not the case. As the Speaker noted, it is not for him to determine whether a contempt has been committed, and I therefore also support the motion and the need for the Committee of Privileges to investigate any potential breach thoroughly and in the correct way. I think we all regret where we are today. I'm sorry the honourable gentleman did not make a full, frank apology, and I support the motion today.
The question is, as on the order paper, as many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. Aye. Division, clear the lobby. Order. Order.
The ayes to the right, 371. The noes to the left, 16.
Thank you. The ayes to the right, 371. The noes to the left, 16. So the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Unlock. Thank you.